Hi, Lisa Schermerhorn here on the Grassroots Warrior Network, and you're on my show Where Truth Lies. And I'm thrilled and excited to introduce you to a real friend of mine. Like, we actually hang out. We don't just know each other through the internet. We actually both live about an hour from each other. Kelley Hunter, she is an astrologer extraordinaire. She's a depth astrologer and an astro mythologist, and she'll go into more about this. And, for me, astrology is a language within itself.
Yeah.
So that it can get really
Oh,
complicated. And Kelley was just giving me a beautiful reading for my birthday, which was earlier in the week, about things that are going on in my life. And I'm always amazed at how right on target the astrology reading is to what's actually really going on in my life.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it's really, really important for people to know. So, Kelley, welcome. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, this is the sort of like last minute, let's do it thing.
Yeah.
So those are always fun. And yeah, I love to talk about astrology. And yeah, I've been studying astrology for almost 60 years now. So I found it really young, obviously. And it's been so helpful in my life, to kind of, number one, feel a connection with something larger, like the universe, the cosmos, and know that we're recognized. And also to be able to track sort of the planetary patterns and how they're unfolding in my life. And some of these patterns are a long trajectory, and some of them are very short. Some of them are quite potent, like eclipses, and some of them are very subtle. And I love that astrology can help you pick up the subtle, which can be very helpful sometimes. And some of these are, we feel these more personally, like the planets that are close to us. That would be Mercury and Venus and Mars. They're the personal planets. This is our daily life that we're engaging with these planets. Venus is the goddess of love and relationship. So that's very daily. And then Mars is what you're doing, how you do it. And that too, how are you, doing your day? And then Mercury is how we're thinking about things. And that is more subtle than we think sometimes because we're not always aware of our mental gyrations.
Right.
So, like when Mercury goes retrograde, that people go, "Oh my God, Mercury's retrograde, my car's going to break down." Well, maybe it will, but it's more about um, working with your mental perception of things and perspective and doing some editing, like where are you thinking in a negative way?
Right.
And it's like, okay, you don't need to think that way. How can you edit yourself and put different words or phraseology into your experience? This is going to change your life. This is mm, the alchemy of Mercury. That's the god of alchemy. This is
Right.
the
So,
magician.
so would you say you're actually revisiting old wounds? Like Mercury is actually bringing up your shadow and old stuff to revisit
It
and heal?
absolutely can.
Yeah.
And of course, it's going to be doing this in different areas of your chart, but it can also, on a more surface level, go back to stuff that you sort of lost track of and pick up some stitches,
Mm.
um, kind of thing. Um, and some of these are very embedded in your chart. Some of the Mercury retrogrades, if a Mercury retrograde, it's retrograde for 3 weeks. And there's a run up to that 3 weeks. Then there's the 3 weeks, and then there's the play out. So it's really more like a 9 week thing.
Wow.
Wherever that is going on in your chart, you're rethinking that whole area of your life, whether it's relationships or career or financial, you know, Mercury can pinpoint that sort of thing, the retrogrades.
Right.
And that's the beauty of astrology. It puts your attention, it helps you put your attention where it needs to be. And then there are planets that have longer cycles, like Jupiter has a 12-year cycle. And it's in the sign of Cancer right now, which Jupiter loves being in Cancer because it's called exalted there. It's one of its best signs because Jupiter is about expansion and growth and opportunity. And Cancer loves that. You just let it come. It's like the goddess opening her cornucopia and flooding us with good stuff when we're open to receive it.
So my question is though, is that something for the entire collective or does it depend on your chart as well? Because is there ever a
Oh.
conflict with what is coming in for the collective versus what individuals' charts look like?
There's never a conflict because we're all doing our particular version of the collective.
Okay, cool.
But Jupiter's in a sign for a whole year. So we're all gaining the benefits
Okay.
from where Jupiter is. But if like you, like I have my moon in Cancer. So my moon is getting, a lot of memories. Um, I'm dealing with a lot of family matters. That's a Cancer thing. Yeah, Cancer has an ancient memory. So it's remembering. And we're talking about that in the larger collective as well, right? That
Right.
memories are coming back, gifts are coming back, things we've known. And this can be from way other lifetimes even.
That's
So
interesting because I've noticed like telepathy and is really coming up strong. Like when someone calls and you're calling them at the same time. I even had this with a friend of mine
yeah.
where we literally both texted each other the same question at the same time. I was
Wow,
cracking
love it.
up.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
So
those I love those things. They're synchronicities.
yes.
Yeah, so to speak.
Yeah, so I'm
And
seeing more and more of that and just tuning in, being able to tune in more of
yes,
what's going on.
the more you see it, the more it happens too. Do you
Yeah.
think? Yeah. So that's one of the things. But then when we head out farther, we're looking at the what we call the outer planets in astrology. So that would be Uranus that has an 84-year orbit around the sun. It stays in a sign for 7-ish years. And Neptune, which has a 165-year orbit and
Wow.
stays in a sign for 14 years, definitely defining the trends of the time. And then Pluto is has an orbit of 248 years. And so it's has an irregular orbit. So sometimes it's in a sign for 30 years and sometimes 12, depending on how close to the Earth and Sun it is. So these three planets definitely are describing the themes of the collective consciousness that are shifting. And Pluto has been just finished shifting from the sign of Capricorn, where it was from 2008, into Aquarius. So it went into Aquarius in March of 2023, and then it went back into Capricorn for a bit. Then it went back into Aquarius in January of 2024. I'm hesitating because I might want to put that back to 2023 actually. Let me see. I have these tables here. This is what astrologers look at all the time.
I was going to say you have the ability to memorize such large amounts of information. My brain doesn't work that way.
Well, it's my language,
It is your
and I
language.
forget sometimes, but I need to, yeah, the 2023. So anyway, um, I think I might have misspoken, but anyway, let's not worry about that. So, um, so it was going back and forth from into Aquarius, giving up, hey, new energy, and going back to say, you got to finish some stuff up. This is going to
Yeah.
get in the way, clear the decks. Okay, let's have some more change. And even more, going back and clearing the decks and sweeping it out. And Pluto can have a lot to do with shadow, particularly collective shadow. So, for instance, in Capricorn in 2008, when Pluto went into Capricorn, we had the bank bailouts from the housing bubble bust,
Right.
and so that was quite a shocker. And then when, as it's coming out of Capricorn toward the end, we had COVID, the whole world shut down.
Wow.
We had and exposing all kinds of things. And when it went into Aquarius, it started to shift the social context. And so that started in March of 2023, came back around in, uh, um, I hope I'm doing this right, in January 2024. And then it went back into Capricorn again last fall. So, yeah, the fall of 2024, it went back into Capricorn just to finish some stuff up. And then as of November, I think it was 19th, it went into Aquarius to stay until like 2043.
So you don't, so the idea of being in a situation where some big jolt is going to happen, is that still in the charts, or do you see things kind of mellowing out, more
Oh no,
discovery?
not yet.
Not
So,
not yet.
so with Pluto, so it's a new energy. For
Right.
instance, it's dealing with artificial intelligence, which is very Aquarian.
Hmm. It
And we're
is.
seeing the shadow side and we're seeing the side of potential. So this is a question, are you going to follow the shadow route
Yeah.
or are you going to be on the high side, so to speak? How are we going to relate to that on a global level?
Well, it was interesting because I was watching something recently that where they were saying that we are actually AI. If we're connected to the matrix,
Yeah.
and that we are constantly growing and learning and experiencing. And I was like, okay, now I have to sit with that one.
What matrix?
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's the mind control matrix, and then there's the field, universal
Yes,
field.
exactly. Well, I
Yeah.
think actually from the field, that's where we
Yeah.
are from, not from the mind control
Yes.
matrix. Yes.
Yes. But we have to disengage.
Right.
Yeah. And all the old Pluto and Capricorn systems are just falling apart. The structures and systems that we've been under are just like not working very well anymore. And we're
No.
seeing that quite obviously. And so part of this is, okay, let's get together and figure it out. And so it's more about group energy, about social change, about we the people. What do we want? And this hasn't happened since actually Pluto on the day of the Declaration of Independence in the US.
I was just going to say 1776. That is so funny. Sorry, so you and I are having telepathy because I just popped in the Constitution in 1776, just literally popped into my head and I almost said it. I'm like, don't say it.
Well, that's it. That was when Pluto was in Capricorn toward the end of Capricorn. So the US just had its first Pluto return when Pluto returned after 248 years to where it was when the Declaration of Independence came forward. And then Pluto went into Aquarius, and I think it was in Aquarius that the Constitution was written, and that we actually, had the war and the whole social change, which we don't even know the history of that to a large extent.
Right.
So that's Pluto. And so we're heading into like almost, 250 years later, a whole new round. And so that's Pluto.
So what,
And so
oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So what do you see the impact? Because we're coming towards the end of the year. We're almost in December at this point, which is insane. I can't believe how fast this year went, which for me in my life has been an amazing, incredible year. I want another one.
Go for it.
Can I have another one of those? Which is rare for people to actually say. They were always going, oh, good riddance. I can't, we're looking forward to a new one. But what do you see in the world moving forward with everything that's shifting and changing, what do you see in the stars?
Well, so this year, 2025, Pluto definitely in Aquarius. However, Neptune in March shifted from Pisces into Aries, the first degree of the zodiac. And then Saturn did. So in March, Neptune went into Aries, a new sign for the first time in 14 years. And 2 months later, Saturn went in to say, let's do it. Let's do something brand new. We haven't done this before. Blaze a new trail. And so we got a heads up. Something very new is possible, but we aren't quite ready for it. So those planets went backwards
Hmm.
for a good deal of the fall. So here we are. They're still in Pisces through December. And then Neptune goes back into Aries. So this is a repeat of last year.
Oh,
If
good.
you want it, Lisa, you got it. So last year, Neptune went into Aries, and in January, it's going back into Aries. And it won't go back into Pisces again. It's staying there for 14 years.
Oh, wow.
And then in February, Saturn goes in. So they've been hanging out together, going in Aries and Pisces and Aries. So we are in this really slightly confusing shift. And I've been using the image of like you're in a storm and your windshield wipers are all dirty, so you can't see very clearly out your window to know where you're driving. So when we have these planets now through the rest of 2025 in Pisces, we have some dirty, muddy window that we've got to clean off. It's like clearing things, cleaning things, filtering your water, getting a clear picture, because Aries is like crystal clarity. And Pisces can be like confusing, not quite sure what's going on. What is reality after all? Kind of, it's been a very confusing time. And this is about getting your energy and frequency as high as you can so that you can maintain that and move forward in the new year because Saturn wants to manifest the vision that Neptune is holding. And it's our each of our own personal visions as clear as we can be with ourselves and where we want to be heading, our vision, our own personal dream. It collectively, we are contributing, each of us, to the collective dream. And so Saturn's like going to manifest it. So be clear, keep those intentions clear, stay on it. Saturn says focus on it. Focus on that vision. The more you focus on it, the more clearly and cleanly it can manifest.
Right. And you want to always focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Because people
Exactly.
will say, I don't want
Exactly.
this to happen. I don't want to have that happen. And the
Yes.
universe doesn't know negatives.
Yes,
So
exactly.
when you keep saying you don't
Yeah.
want something, that's what you get. So
Yes.
it's very important. And I always say if you're focusing on something that you want and there's resistance there, you want to look at your
Yeah.
worthiness around it. You want to
Hmm.
look at,
Yeah.
what the blocks are, and that's why all of these things are coming up right now
Yes,
for us to take a look
absolutely.
at. And
Yeah.
I've had some big stuff come up, we were talking about it before, to really take a look at, and it's not a punishment. When I talk to some of my clients, when Mercury in retrograde comes up, they're like, why is all this mayhem happening to me? Why do I always feel like, this stuff is never going to go away? It goes away when you get it to go away, right? When you release it all and let it go. And when you keep looking outside of yourself instead of within,
Yeah.
it's the within that has to change.
Yeah.
So no more
Hmm.
victim, no more pointing at others. It's the internal change that's going to make
Absolutely.
all of this shift and change.
And when planets go retrograde, including Mercury, That is internalizing. You're going within to work with that energy, and then the planets move forward, and you see how things have changed. But
Yeah.
it's from the inside out, and that's particularly Pluto.
Yeah.
And Pluto's just like, let it go, clear the decks, and move along cleanly. With Neptune, things have to like dissolve. They just like dissolve. So that's the way water can wear away stone. That's I don't know. I like the idea of putting salt in my water. So whatever that means along that line, but it's like they just dissolve, they disappear, they melt back into, you know,
Mm.
the cosmic sea. And then we can come out of that. There's a beautiful image that represents the very beginning of Aries, where Neptune and Saturn have both been and will where they will be again. And the image is a woman arises from the sea, embraced by a seal.
Oh, wow.
So it goes back to that Welsh tale of the seal woman, but it's also about how are we arising out of the waters. I know Pam Gregory and others have been talking about the way the water nymph that lives underwater has a moment where it starts coming up out of the water and becomes the dragonfly,
Mm.
or like how a butterfly dissolves its internal organs and then becomes a butterfly. It was a caterpillar, now it's a butterfly. So that kind of dissolving, it's not pretty. It can be very
Wow.
messy. But it's also clarifying our expectations, our doubts, the things that are getting in the way, our projections, and it's like just give all that up. Just start clean and fresh, like with and meet the moment with whatever's arising in that moment.
Yeah, because it's too easy for us to let those just define us, our past define us. And when we can release it,
Yeah.
it's like putting a new pair of glasses on. You see the world
Yeah.
from a different perspective. And I think the biggest thing is forgiveness.
Yes, that's a
When,
big part of that.
when,
Compassion for
yes.
yourself as well as others. Yeah.
Because everyone's doing the best they can with what they
Yeah.
have. And that doesn't mean you have to like it. We all have people and circumstances in our lives that, there's a lot of resistance, like, why should I forgive them? But then I look at it's for you, it's not for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be entangled in that energy
Yeah.
by resisting it or judging it. So just turn off that channel. Kind of,
Yeah, exactly.
kind of, if you've got static on your radio, just, recalibrate that dial.
So anything else that you see big coming up in 2026?
Ah, one more. There's one
Yeah.
more of these outer planets, Uranus, the change agent, the awakener, the shock value of lightning bolts
Uh,
and technology. So Uranus is the third of these outer planets, and the fact that the three of them are changing in a short period of time is pretty wild. And Uranus is the wildest in a sense. So Uranus is a change sign from Taurus, which is very earthquakey and has a lot to do with the financial shift going on. It has a lot to do with earth energy shifting. That's Taurus. And also, bringing us back to basics, food, shelter, water. What are your basics? Um, and it went into Gemini in July, an air sign that's about variety is the spice of life. Like open your mind to different possibilities that you wouldn't have entertained. Don't get stuck.
right.
So this is like Peter Pan, just like, kind of it's a magic sign and it can flip a switch. It's like, all of a sudden, shoo, I have a completely different perspective on things.
Wow. That's
So it's
pretty foretelling.
yes.
That's very
And it
cool.
was only there for a few months, July, August, September, October. It's back in Taurus now. But it was like heads up. something new? Are you thinking differently? Are you rewiring your brain? It's absolutely
Wow.
possible.
Wow.
And so, and there are a lot of people who are turning, anybody who's turning 84 is having a Uranus return. So a lot of people born in the second half of the 40s have Uranus and Gemini. And that generation, well, for one thing, nervous systems with Gemini
Yeah.
can be kind of like, shh. But um, but that generation was really whatever's the latest thing, they're going to be telling you about it. They were into whatever's happening. They'll talk about anything. It's like, it's very interested in whatever's happening, whatever's going on, new information, alternate points of view. So we're heading back there again, but we've got to stabilize ourselves a little bit in order to do that. So this can also be a good time to get rid of stuff, you know.
I've been clearing out. It's been amazing. And a good friend of ours, Barry's been clearing out too. She's doing amazing work, moving her studio
Yeah.
and getting rid of stuff. So yeah,
And a little clue for all the cancers out there. Sentimentality is sometimes not useful.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, why are you keeping this?
right.
Pressed flower from the prom and I mean, why? You can remember it. Is that enough? So this is hard, you know.
It is hard. It is hard to get rid of some of these things. And I look at them and I'm like, I don't even like a lot of the things. I just inherited them. I don't think my kids
Oh,
want them either. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
then that hard thing of, do I get rid of these old bone china figurines
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
aren't worth anything anymore and they're
Right.
magnificent?
What do you do with them? Put them in if you're making some kind of a concrete something, put them in. People do that, making stone walls, putting
Yeah,
together
the
the concrete
mosaics and all that.
sticker
Yeah.
mosaics. Yeah, I'm thinking of that. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, somebody on our road just put out some ceramic cows on a couple of the logs as you're driving along the road or walking on the road. You see these little cows. I don't know what they'll do in the snow, but anyway,
Probably get
so
plowed over.
so the Uranus, it's back in Taurus to begin the new year. So there's a little bit like grounding. So we need the grounding. And Uranus in Taurus is about embodying the higher mind. So we need to bring it into the body and ground it.
Okay.
So working with your body, working with the stuck places and that's a useful thing to start, the year with because Uranus doesn't go back into Gemini until the end of April.
Oh, wow.
So the end of April, we will have Uranus in Gemini, we will have Pluto in Aquarius, and we will have Neptune in Aries. Completely different from Earth to air, another Earth to air, and then a water to fire. So we're going into very different, rather fast-paced energy. So if you think, energy has been fast-paced already, it could be picking up
So when
some.
you say going to air, because water to me is emotions and fire to me is transmutation. When you say to air, what does air represent?
It represents communication and use of the mental
Okay.
objectivity,
Good.
logic.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a different texture, we could say,
Yeah.
of the energy, and it's changing quite a bit. So some people will be comfortable with that, and some people won't.
Right.
Cancers don't don't like change. Taurus doesn't like change either. They've got their thing and they might get a little stuck. So what can you do to just change things up? Just little things, can make a big difference and at least kind of change up the energy a little bit in some ways to help you be able to think differently and be able to kind of move forward with some new initiatives that are definitely called for. What's the trail you want to blaze? What's your new trajectory? Because there's gonna be one. So, if you can set yourself with that vision of where you want to be and take steps to get there, you're gonna get a lot of help.
Oh, interesting. So, from the standpoint of, it's written in the stars, I always love that term. But if someone's really stuck and they're not moving forward and not willing, how do the stars and all the planets impact you if you're not
Oh.
going along with the flow, so to speak, if that makes sense?
Well,
Like,
there can be positive manifestations of any planet, any sign, and the more negative ones. So it's like with Scorpio, it's very alchemical and you need to do the alchemy and then you can be on the upward spiral. But if you're into fear and the negative thinking that you were mentioning before, you're going on the downward spiral.
okay. So what astrology does, well, I'm just interpreting it, is it
Ah.
creates the environment for something to happen. And so it's either going to bring you up, or if you're resistant to it, it's going to put you more deeper into your shadow. Is that correct?
More or less, yes. And it's not
Interesting.
the astrology as a reflection of the energy.
Okay.
So, but you can use it to even consider, oh, this is happening. What is a positive outcome here?
So that's why it's really important to know what's going on in your chart so you can use it to your advantage, correct?
Yeah, some people intuitively know things and they don't need
Right.
that map or that way of looking at it, but it's another way. And
Right.
it's a very helpful way and it's a fun way and it just keeps, you know, one of the best things is that it gives you a sense of timing
Mm.
and and then the themes you can be working with. So it's not fate, it's not things are going to happen this way, especially now because we're moving into a realm of quantum consciousness
Mm.
that can create with the energy rather than being coerced by it.
Yeah. So interesting. So interesting. Wow. I love talking to you because I love the way you break it down, because it's not my language, and for a lot of people it's not. And other people, I always look at other astrologers who are always talking about this, and it is like a foreign language. So I always appreciate the way you break it down and simplify it, and help me wrap around in my brain. And I have to say, all the things that you talked to me about personally in my life was right on target. Like, I'm already moving in those directions. You were
Yeah.
confirming it for me. So I love that. So when people, do you still do you do private sessions with
Yes,
people?
I still do.
Yeah,
I love that. I love introducing people to their charts. I love looking at it with somebody who knows a lot of astrology because I love the fact that we're in the field of energy together.
right.
And things arise because of that encounter. And I love the magic of that. And I think of astrology as an intuitive language. So looking at somebody's chart activates my intuition in a way that sometimes I'm saying exactly what they thought to themselves yesterday, kind of
Yes.
thing. And that's because the energy is in the field. And I've been an astrologer long enough to be able to speak the language and to synthesize all of the grammar that it has, with the signs and the planets and their interactions and the houses, what areas of life are being activated. So there is a language and there are like grammatical rules to the language, but the interpretation is the art. And not everybody
Yes.
has the experience to be an artist. you know?
You're so right in all aspects of life. and so I see there's a lot of hypnotists out there, but not everyone has the depth and breadth of knowledge and experience as others. So, but you also add a lot of things on. I love, how do you define what is an astromythologist?
Oh yeah, I meant to
Yeah.
kind of so so I love mythology. And all the planets are gods and goddesses who have their stories and their mythologies. And so I became very interested in the stories and the stars. So I would do stargazing. For years, I was,
Mm.
you know, in the tropics, and we had clear skies, and I was showing people the sky and telling the stories of the constellations. And they come through the astrology as well. And sometimes the story can convey a lot more nuance of an energy, and we can change the stories too with a level of responsibility, you know. Um, but that's part of I think of it as an intuitive language and also a mythic language.
So when you read people's charts, knowing the mythology and the story behind it, and when someone's within their chart is in a certain constellation, does that mythology apply?
Usually in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, it depends on where the person is at, what they're, that I read the person's energy in terms of what I talk about or convey or the language that I use, actually. And that's how I learned astrology. I listened to people talking out their charts, and it's like, oh, she's talking about her Venus in Scorpio. It's like, oh, it's like, not gonna miss that one. So that kind of thing. So that's kind of how I learned. And I'm grateful for it. And I've gotten interested in some different dimensions outside the realm of classical traditional astrology, of which there are many sorts. There's been a whole renaissance in global astrology, and especially since they've been a lot new discoveries by the astronomers, and they're naming a lot of those out past Pluto for creator gods from indigenous cultures like
Mm,
India or Lithuania or someplace in Africa or the Inuit people. It's so fabulous
wow.
beyond the Greco-Roman mythology. It's very exciting to me.
Wow. That
And I've been
is
putting some of those things in people's charts. Um, so that can be a fun thing to consider, like a whole new archetype, you know?
right. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think we're coming into an age where we are
Yeah.
due for some new archetypes. I think we're really tired of the old,
Mhm.
system of,
Yeah.
and as much as I love the Jungian psychology, and I think he's brilliant, and I use a lot of
Mhm.
what I've learned from his work, but the hero's journey is beautiful, but it can be dark. It would be nice when we shift into the fifth dimension and start learning from not having to go through our shadow and such dark places. I think as a collective and as a
Oh,
society, I think people are getting ready for that. People who are ready to be able
people
to
who are
learn their
ready. Yeah.
lessons without having to go down that
Yes.
dark, dark
And
shadow.
I think that's the quantum consciousness, and we hear quantum everywhere now.
Right? Yeah, no, it's true. It's
Hmm.
true. So, well, thank you so much. This was so enlightening as always, and I always love talking to you. And I'll have your information of how people can reach you. Is it just through your website, or are there other
And
places?
the best place is Substack now,
Oh,
starlady.substack.com. I do a lot on Substack. I put out newsletters, I put out videos and that I've done with other people, and I do audio stuff, and I'm going to be offering more like some live group conversations, cosmic conversations that you can join in. And I do want to mention a class I'm giving in February and March with the Quantum School, it's called. And I'm giving a class called Cosmic Couples. What's the subtitle? Something about finding your love myth in the stars or something. Well, I'm talking about uh, different masculine and feminine pairs in different sections of the solar system and what they can tell us about uh, qualities or different dynamics in relationships that can help us recognize more of the complexity of the layers in any of our own relationships and understand why can't I have a normal relationship? It's like, what is normal,
What is
anymore?
exactly what is normal? I don't know what normal is.
Hmm.
Um, Nor should we. It's like
Right.
everyone having a beige house and a gray
I
car. It's like
know.
it's nice to pop in some
I
color and have some
know.
excitement.
Yes,
But that's my
exactly.
Scorpio.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm doing that. Um, and I'll have a link to that on my Substack, and my website is has some stuff on it, heliastar.com, HELIA star.com, and that's named for the female sun goddess, Helia.
Ah, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, Kelly, it was a pleasure as always, and
Oh,
I'll
thank
have your
you.
information posted
Yeah.
so people can connect with you and yeah, enjoy the holidays coming up and some sounds like some cool stuff happening in the new year.
Yes, well, never a dull moment. And a lot of people are talking about this year because it has such powerful dynamics, including, the eclipses, of course. There are going to be some profound moments, but we touched on the ones where the planets are shifting signs, which are definitely markers. So, yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. I love it. Thank
And it's
you.
going to change. Just don't be impatient. Just follow your track. Just go with what's arising in the moment and stay in the moment as fully as possible so you don't, I don't know, what do you do? Fall off the timeline or fall into the water? I don't know. Yeah. Get all confused,
Get all
space
confused. There you
out.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
being present is really the best thing you can do for
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Yeah. Now, be here
Now,
now.
be here now. All right. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks, everybody.